Welcome to this yin yoga class to open up the front line, open up the groins, the quads, kind of the front of the body, especially. We'll also do a little bit of the opposite, just as counter poses as well. Today, it'd be nice to have big pillows if you like to use them for your practice, or bolsters, and then a blanket for underneath the knees. Set this blanket up on your mat if you like that little bit of cushion. I'm going to unfold mine a little bit more. It's right across the mat for those kneecaps. So we can begin in tabletop. Wrists and shoulders in alignment here as we paw at the earth. Turn the fingers out on both hands. A little warming before yin. Toward the body with the fingers. Maybe a little rock here. See how this feels in the arms. Turn those palms back out to sides, to the front. Maybe turn them in. A little rock here too. And then pause with wrists and shoulders in alignment. Round through the spine. This will feel a little more awkward. And extend, arch. Exhale to round. Inhale to arch. Continue a few times. Your own pace. Next time you come to neutral, stay. Turn those fingertips forward. And then again, arch the spine. You can really get the upper spine movement. And then round. Arch. More upper spine than low spine. And round. If you like this, inhale. And exhale. Around two more. Last time, arch, round, and roll up through the spine to land on the shins. Arms circle overhead, then draw them behind the body, maybe to the pelvis. Press the pelvis into the hands as the hands press into pelvis, and little extension. And here we get into the front line, the chest, little extension, and return a few times. Inhale to lift through the collarbones. Exhale to release. 3. Draw those elbows back. 2. Last one. Nice. Slide onto the belly. And then press up into Sphinx. And shimmy yourself back a little so your pelvis lands on that blanket. We'll begin with Sphinx as our first yin posture, staying here for a period of time. So take your time setting up. Maybe this is great, right here, experiencing the blanket under the pelvis. Or perhaps you'd like some props underneath the chest, kind of the belly here, to help support you and keep you up. Choosing whether or not you'd like to widen the hands or maybe widen the elbows. I'll stay here for a time. Let the shoulders just melt away from the ears naturally. How far can you feel the stretch in the front of the body? Not just in the belly, but perhaps further down the chain, down the legs, or up into chest, up into neck. You also sense the opposite, the compression within the back, within the kidneys, how small the back, lower rib area. And you sense both this gentle compression on the back line and opening of the front. If you'd like more for the last few breaths, only if it feels good, maybe you press up on the hands to seal. Fingertips turned out. About 3 more breaths. Another inhale. And exhale the lower back onto the forearms if lifted. Drop the chin. And if it's safe for the neck, look up to any degree. And tip the head forward. And lengthen and arc for the neck as you look up. A few more times, press out of those arms. Exhale, nod the chin down. Inhale, neutral or up. Let's do 2 more. Last one, chin drops and lower the head one way. And the opposite way. Going to the side of the neck. The whole front line. One more time, back to the first side. Pause, breathe. Increase that stretch with the breath. And then exhale over to other side. Take a deep inhale. And return to center. And slide those hands in. Press yourself up nice and slowly back into the tabletop. Knees can land on the blanket if you'd like. Just a little pause. And stillness here. Resist the craving to perhaps move for another moment. And then rock forward and back. Stretching through back line. Counter what we just did. And then maybe widen the knees. Find a child's pose. Feel the compression in the fronts of the groins, the hip flexors. Soon we'll open that area. The leg through the back as you tent the fingers. Breathe all the way into the pelvis here. So around 5 to 10 more breaths. If you can lengthen out the inhales and even longer with the exhales. Noticing any pauses between the breaths in and out. One more round of breath. And roll up through the spine as the hands slide in. Reach those arms back, open the chest, maybe interlace fingers. One shoulder roll. Dragon. Let's take that right leg forward. Other knee could be on the blanket here. To prepare, richly bend through that right knee and then lengthen the leg. Come forward and back. Active range of motion here to help you once you enter the posture to find an edge that's appropriate for your body. Around 3 more. 2. The last one, come forward. Then roll up through the spine for more of a 90-90 version. Arms reach and hands to heart. Some people might stay high and lean forward. Right, hands on stacked pillows, for example. Okay, or hands to the inseam of that lead leg. Might need to shimmy and shift a little here. Any pillows that you would like, perhaps a big stack, so that you can land hands on it. You'd like to lessen the depth or to increase the forearms, might end up coming down onto the bolster, blocks, pillows, whatever you have. And we'll stay here for some time, knowing you can ease your way in. Okay? No need to rush here. This will be one of our longer postures. This can be a little challenging. A little activity involved here as you press through that front foot and back shin. And getting into groins and hip flexors here. You relax the shoulders a little. If they're gripping, perhaps come out of the posture to a higher variation. The face soften, the forehead smooth. If you need a point of focus, perhaps turn your gaze or your eyes up to the forehead, center of the brow. As you stay in this posture, it perhaps becomes more challenging. See if you can stay with the breath, long and strong. Letting the tissues unravel in their own time. Knowing this is temporary. Be witness to the experience. You sense any shifts in quality of the tissues. Another breath in. And fully, fully out. Widen the breath in. Complete exhale. Final breath in through the nose. And soften out the mouth. When you're ready, start to come out a little bit of the posture. If you're on your elbows, perhaps hands come onto the bolster or onto the floor as you start to lengthen arms. And now that right leg slowly lengthens as you draw it in underneath the body, pardon me, into tabletop. You might stay in tabletop or lengthen that right leg out behind you. Press into the ball of the foot. Little rock forward and back on the toes. Both knees underneath you, if not already there. Roll up through the spine, arm circle. And sweep those arms in behind the body, maybe to the pelvis with the hands. Press your hands into pelvis. Lean back through upper spine only. Return. Upper spine, up and over a beach ball. And return. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. Final round. Return to neutral. Let's slide onto the belly. Push that bolster or pillows forward. So you have the room here. Bend those knees and windshield wash of the legs right and left. One more time each side. And then land the legs. Press up into a little Sphinx. Lower the head to one side. And then the other. And return to your belly. Press onto hands. Return to knees on the earth. Feet heavy here. Let's arch and round. Arch and round, only to roll up through spine again. Circle arms. Hands to heart center as you lunge that left leg forward. Could stay higher, hands come down as you bend richly through front knee, and then extend the leg, flex through the toes. Again, rock forward to any degree and back. Let's do two more like this. Last time forward. And then roll up through the spine, more of a 90-degree bend here, arms circle, hands to heart center. Again, you might stay here, right? Pillows, anything you need, or just as you are, okay? Or hands plant the inside of the left leg. Adjust. Maybe you stay on hands. Maybe you want hands on a pillow. Okay, or perhaps forearms come down. So you decide where you'd like to land. You know, we're here for quite some time. And if this side's different, feel free to adjust a little here. Until we can find more equanimity. The tissues unravel. Sheaths and layers of fascia start to uncoil, stretch, and glide on each other. And where is their tension? As I crept into the upper body, see if you can soften. If not, change the posture. Drop higher. Go on to hands. You breathe into the front of the pelvis. An area that can have a lot of tension. The pelvis, the hip flexors, the psoas. And like regular stretching, it's about the connective tissue and those chemical reactions. Your very chemistry is shifting the longer you stay. Courage of turning inward, and ease of the mind. Can the breath get longer, more fluid? Inhale and exhale longer. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And then inhale through nose. And release a little heat through the mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Final round, breathe in. And sigh it out. When you're ready, you might come on to hands. And pause. Another breath in and out as you shift the hips back. Lengthen that left leg. Hands can frame it. And slide the heel back closer to the body. Maybe assist the leg, come into tabletop, or lengthen that left leg. Pause wherever you are. Notice if there's any flush in the tissues, changes in sensation. And then rock forward and back. And pause again. Slide the legs to match one another. And simply lower your bottom down. Legs out in front can shift any bolsters here. A counter pose, if you like counter poses, would be to round forward. You could also just hug your knees to your chest. The head becomes too heavy, those bolsters can come on to lap. The shoulders be soft. And breathe into the back of the heart. Just 3 more breaths. Not in the counter postures for as long. So our focus is the front line. Still creating a little balance here. Final breath in. And exhale, exhale, exhale. Help yourself up. Roll up through spine and pause. And now, saddle. Saddle archetype. If saddle is not for you on the shans, okay, just to show something else before we settle in here, you could come back onto the belly and take one leg, one ankle, press the pelvis down for about 5 breaths, and then switch sides. Every so often, with a certain breath count, switch sides to stretch the front of the quad. Or this version of saddle here, bolster behind the body. If you know when you lean back, you'd like more height, okay, we can turn this into a ramp. So take some pillows here to make more of a ramp, more or less. Okay? And then you could lean back onto your ramp. Okay. So feet together, knees wide. Hands behind the body, maybe lift the pelvis and then settle it right back down. Okay. Some people will stay right here, even upright. If you're feeling the stretch in the quads or that lean back onto hands or onto ramp or a single pillow, and open up the heart. And we'll stay here for quite some time. Feel free to explore the arms to get settled. Any emotions arise, see if you can observe them. It's a very vulnerable position. Can feel for some. Have the front open. Chest perhaps lifted if arms are down. Allow things to be. perhaps as you breathe here, a few more rounds, start to move through the hands. Sitting upright, you could do the same thing. Just open and close the hands as you sit on your shins. To see how this feels in the rest of the body. If there's a ripple effect, maybe roll those wrists. Perhaps both ways. And then, if you're fairly far down to the ground here, bring those arms to your sides and clasp the shins. We want to come up with a long neutral spine here. So inhale and exhale to press into the forearms. Find the forearms and palms turn down here. And then press into the hands to come upright. We'll all meet kind of been seated here. If you're on your belly, you could meet us cross-legged if this isn't appropriate for your knees. Do what calls to you here. And now swing the legs out in front of you. Bend those knees. Move any props you might have that were behind the back. Use the hands as an assist to lower yourself to the earth. To find your variation of Savasana today. Maybe you just like to lengthen out the legs, or maybe a little pillow underneath the pelvis. Even that blanket can provide the slightest little inversion. Roll one shoulder under the body and then the other. Get comfortable. Feel the ebb and flow of the breath, even down into the pelvis. Does the breath feel circular? Or like a wave? Does it have a shape? Sense into that shape. Tune into how the back of the pelvis feels on the earth, blanket, or pillow. Rounded, supported. And spread that awareness. Feel the rest of the back on the earth, where it makes contact and where there's space. Same with the shoulders, the arm, the neck, and the skull. Inhale. Exhale, perhaps through the mouth. Again. Final time, inhale. And exhale as you maybe start to wiggle and stretch. Perhaps reach those arms overhead and draw the legs together. Wiggle the fingers and the toes or flex at the ankles and point, whatever calls. Sometimes a yawn will come. Let it happen. And slide those legs in. Hug knees to chest. Few more breaths. And then plant the feet. If you have things underneath the pelvis, other than perhaps a blanket, remove them. Arms outstretched, and perhaps a windshield washer with the legs side to side. Once you're even, roll onto one side, the tiny little ball. Take a breath into the low back. And use that top hand to help you rise. Roll the shoulders once you find your seat. Perhaps lower the head side to side. Or if it's safe for your neck, circle the head. Drop the chin. Lift your gaze. Switch the crossing of the legs if they're crossed. And drop the chin. Take the head around opposite way. Or continue to lull it side to side. A few more times here. Last one. Chin drops. Then take the head over to one side, but pause. Perhaps the fingertips tent on the earth or even hands down. They have very long arms. And sweep the head other way. Stay. Another inhale. And exhale, head returns to center. Stack the vertebra of the neck. Arms sweep up. Hands all the way to the heart center. Thank you for this practice. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. I hope you feel good. I always do after a full length yin. If you liked this class, check out the yin playlist, and we'll see you next time.